A pleasant good evening, viewers. Jovan Wilson here for 284 Media. And tonight, for a very special reason, we are sitting down with the BVI Tourist Board family. Now, last year, it was not as good, but the BVI tourism product is definitely synonymous with the creme de la creme, one of the events that we definitely look forward to, and that is Anegada Lobster Fest. This year, the event is on. This is an opportunity not only for us to showcase our culinary talent, but of course another sweet opportunity for our foodies to capitalize on. So today we are speaking with the Deputy Director of the BVI Tourist Board, Mr. Rhodni Skelton, as well as Mr. Carnel Clyne. He is the Project Officer as well as the Chairman of the Anegada Lobster Fest Committee. We sit with both of these, I would think, handsome gentlemen right after this commercial break. Viewers, welcome back to 284 Media. Now, as promised, tonight we are joined by two of the visionaries behind the beautiful, resilient, robust product we know as BVI, brand BVI at the BVI Tourist Board. Mr. Rhodni Skelton, he's the Deputy Director, of the BVI Tourist Board, and we're also joined by the Chairman of the Anegada Lobster Fest Committee, as well as Project Officer, Mr. Carnel Clyne. Welcome back to 284 Media.
Thanks for having us.
Excellent.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so we're going to jump straight into it. BVI Lobster Fest, definitely a highly anticipated event, not only for locals, but lots of persons frequent our territory to really capitalize on this event, Lobster Fest. Let's get into the history of it, if we will. Our Deputy Director, just tell us a little bit about Lobster Fest and how it has been able to benefit, particularly the Anegadian community.
Thanks. The event started 8 years ago. This would be our 9th year having the Lobster Festival. And it started with a small team. We initially, before we had BVI Food Fest, it was just the restaurant week. BVI had a restaurant week where we would go around and support the various restaurants, and we added with that the Anegada Lobster Festival. What we noticed was that almost all of the main islands already had their thing.
Yes.
Jovan had its New Year's Eve celebrations. Virgin Gorda had the festival. The capital, Tortola, always had a bunch of events, whether it was the spring regattas and festivals. Virgin Gorda had the Poker Run. King Garden Bay had the BVI Music Festival. And one of our gems, probably one of our most precious gems, Anegada, really didn't have anything distinct for it. Mm-hmm. Conversation that I had with one of our very, very well-known captains, Bradshaw Brown out of Weston. I know he'll be happy to hear himself being mentioned, but I was, hanging out with him a little bit, and he's a frequenter of Anegada. He's like, man, he thinks a lobster festival over there would be great. And it's something that we had talked about, milled it around a little bit inside, in-house at the Tourist Board. We jumped on it. One of our former staff came on board with me, Kalitha Henry, and we went over to Anegada, pitched the idea. At first, they wanted to have a centralized event, which is what we're typical of. This is what we know for festivals to be. And I was like, Anegada's beauty is being able to go around and enjoy the natural beauty of it. So I was able to convince them that first year, which would have been, I believe, 2013?
Yeah.
2013.
2013. And they jumped on board. But I'll be honest, the first year was a little bit daunting. We only had, I think, maybe 300, 400 folks come across to Anegada. And so, of course, going back, when you have to recap the event and going back to the Anegadans, they're like, see, Rhodni, I told you the event should have been
Yes.
Centralized.
Yes.
And if you know Anegadians, they are some very vocal folks. And again, I was able to, I guess they said I could sell ice to Eskimo. I was able to convince them to give us one more shot at doing an island adventure culinary experience.
Yes.
They jumped on board the second year this event just shut off. Worked with team members like Kyle Harrigan, who now works with us out of our UK office. He was my right-hand man, going out there pounding steaks into the ground and just preparing Anegada for the rush that was to come. We now have Carnel Clyne, who is the chairman, and taking over from my responsibilities, and he's done an excellent job over the past few years. We know the challenges we had coming out of the hurricanes as well as dealing with this pandemic, but we can sit back and see where we have new properties that have arisen since the inception of Lobster Festival. You look at Sea Grape Villas,
Right.
Fort Diamonds, these, and those are amazingly beautiful properties.
Yes.
Yep.
Carnel, you mentioned some of the restaurants.
Two of the restaurants that just birthed since we've been doing Lobster Fest was Pink Flamingo. They jumped on board from 2019. And then this year, 2021, will be the newest one, Tipsy, which will be the newest birth of the restaurants to jump on board this year. So we are seeing economic growth out there in Anegada, and we're happy for that. We're very, very, very happy for that.
And I know it comes at a really critical time as well. You did mention a little earlier, Mr. Skelton, the fact that we just coming off of the hurricanes of 2017, Irma and Maria, and now into a parallel that is COVID-19, which truly affected and brought to a halt the BVI tourism industry. I know these sister islands in particular really, really took a hit. And even, being on the ground on my little personal trips and stuff, and having conversations with some of the stakeholders in Anegada, it's been a really tough time. So what is the feel like now that Anegada Lobster Fest has been announced for this year, the 27th and the 28th? How are the hospitality stakeholders feeling, and how are they preparing for this grand event?
Well, our team, again led by Carnel, we went over and we pitched the idea to see if they would be ready. We understood that health department may have some restrictions on the event, and we were quite honest. I think Carnel, when he went over, was quite honest with them and said, listen, if we pull off this event, we may have to, adhere to some strict requirements. Are you guys on board? You guys are the stewards of the island of Anegada.
Yes.
Are you willing to adhere? And it was overwhelmingly yes. Carnel can speak to discussions had with health department, but from what health was pretty much on board. They just wanted us to tell them what we had in mind, bearing in mind the existing protocols that we have. At the time when we met, we weren't open like we are now.
Yes. True.
So from a BVI Tourist Board point of view, we were a little bit more trepid. We were a little more nervous about, hey, should we go, shouldn't we go? Now that the BVI has reopened, our cases are down to next to nothing, and we're starting to see some guests coming in. I think this is a perfect time. But Carnel spends a lot more time over with the folks over in Anegada, so he can speak more to how they're feeling.
Excellent. Go
Jovan,
ahead.
I would say the folks over there are overwhelmingly happy about the fact that we even pitched Anegada Lobster Fest this year to them, because of the fact that this year it didn't have any, festival village or any, large gatherings on the main island. So they were quite happy with the fact that we pitched it to them, and we came back to the drawing board and pitched our ideas or what we think to the health department, and they're taking certain things into consideration in order for us to be able to pull off this event. One of the things I know that they have relaxed is the domestic travel on ferries, where they could have full capacity on the ferries,
Yay.
but once everybody's masked,
Yes.
everything should be okay.
So it seems really about just being able, everyone collectively, all hands on deck, being
Yep.
able to abide by these very strict protocols, because then we begin to retard the efforts of the health authorities, right?
Exactly.
So let's talk to the actual establishments. How many persons are on board? Are we still at this point trying to attract more persons into the event? And what's that process looking like so far?
Okay, so right now we have 10 restaurants on board. It's Potters by the Sea,
Okay.
Anegada Reef, Wonky Dog, Lobster Trap, Pink Flamingo, Sid's, Correct, Big Bamboo,
Big
Tipsy, and Flash of Beauty. Those 10 are on board right now, and it's sealed. Right now, over at the BVI Tourist Board, we're going to roll out a bunch of information in terms of down to the very dollar as to how much you're going to be able to spend coming to this event. We already have all the menus that's coming on board on this special flip board. We're trying to make the event as green as possible, Jovan. In terms of this year, it's not much paper like the last time you used to come up and fill out papers. Everything is going to be digital in terms of registration. And when you register, you get a gift bag with your old cutlery set. And beads and hand sanitizer, etc. So we're making this event as green as possible too as well.
That is excellent. Now, November 27th and 28th, I'm already seeing flyers from the various ferries. Party boats are heading over there, and of course, that's something we all look forward to. But tell persons what they can expect. Why should they come out and be a part of the festivities? And is there any difference between the 2 days as it relates to the activities?
Well, we try to preach 3 days because we try to kick off things from the Friday the 26th. Right, and then the Saturday will be when you could roam to the different restaurants, like the 10 different restaurants that I mentioned. And Jovan, I just want to go through a list of different tasters or testers that the folks in Anegada have prepared for our people. We have curried lobster, we have jerk lobster, lobster beignets, lobster fritters, lobster rolls, stew lobster, lobster quesadilla, lobster bites. And Jovan, one of my favorites, I love ice cream, and one of them are preparing vanilla flavored lobster.
What?
Ice cream, vanilla flavored lobster ice cream.
Lobster ice cream?
Yep. And Jovan, definitely I'll be there to get a scoop or two. But I'm just saying that the folks, since the inception of the Lobster Fest, have really became more creative in the lobster dishes that they're offering.
We had lobster cakes one year.
Wow.
And we could never imagine how that would work. And Carnel left out one. It was the one that we were puzzling over how to
how to pronounce.
The lobster foie gras.
What is that?
Bacon foie gras.
Bacon, lobster bacon foie gras. So they're really getting creative and fun with the dishes. Of course, if persons just want to go over and have the traditional lobster that's buttered down and full of garlic and all of that stuff, of course that will be available as well.
Awesome. So I'm hearing good food, great stops. I know another thing that is synonymous to Lobster Fest as well is good entertainment. How are we looking on that?
Yeah, so the entertainment, for what I know right now, I know there's entertainment on the different ferries coming up, and I know there's different entertainment at the different establishments. I don't have the different names as to who. I know they're going to have different house DJs and such at different restaurants. But I want to touch on the ways that you could get up to Anegada. There's plenty different ways to get up to Anegada. Rotong Fast Ferry will be leaving out of Rotown on the 26th and the 27th, 9 a.m. in the morning. Rhodni Associates will be doing the same thing on the 27th and the 28th at 10 a.m. in the morning. Anegada Express is running their regular ferry out of Loose Mongoose Ferry Dock, 7:30 in the a.m. And if you missed that, you could also catch them at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
Speedies is running out of Beef Island and as well as Virgin Gorda, 9 o'clock a.m. and 9:30 a.m. on both days on the 26th and 27th. And then you have Global Ocean Transport. This is the big green badge. They're running on the 26th, the 27th, and the 28th out of Trellis Bay to take if folks can't get rentals or whatever the case may be, they could take their vehicles up to Anegada.
That's wonderful. So many options available. I know persons can also take their vehicles over too, yes? Does that opportunity present itself?
Yes.
With the barge?
The barge is an option. I think they're doing a $150 round trip out of Virgin Gorda, as well as Trellis Bay.
Excellent.
On the 26th, the 27th, and the 28th.
Now, one of the things we have recognized, especially over the last year, is the fact that the importance of that marriage between the tourism industry to culture. And, as an industry that is so tourism-centric, one of the things we've been hearing as a call from the tourists is the need for more cultural representation. And so I know this event in particular really speaks to that, but I want to touch on some of the other events that we have planned, not even if it's not within this month, going forward as it relates to tourism, marrying culture, and the importance of that, Mr. Skelton, as well. Tell us, what do we have on the horizon?
All right, so this year, again, bearing in mind that when we put the plans in play, the BVI was in a different state of readiness in terms of the protocols and everything with COVID. But we can't wait until we're open to then plan for upcoming events. So we had to make some very hard and fast decisions as a team. I have Kareem Hall as a member of my team as well as all the other members, Keith Dawson.
Yes.
But we had to make an early decision. And so we decided that for the month of November, we would only have Anegada Lobster Festival.
Okay.
Traditionally, we would have Taste of Tortola, Taste of Virgin Gorda. We have one of our major fundraising events that has taken on a couple of different names, the Barefoot Gourmet Soiree. There was something with the cause, I can't remember right now, Gourmet for a Cause.
Yes.
So those events, we decided to hold off on them until 2022. We also used to have the Just Pork. And for different reasons, the Just Pork never quite took off. We're willing to make a shift. What we're going to have this year in December 30th, is the Fish and Fungi Frenzy over on Joss Van Dyke.
Okay.
And it's a chance to marry, as we've seen. We know fish and fungi are
Love
considered our national dish.
Yes.
And most folks out there who are coming from mainland North America or from the UK or from Europe, what is fungi? And they may pronounce it fungi. And why am I eating fungi and algae and all that good stuff? It's a chance for them to get to taste BVI.
Yes.
It's going to happen over on Joss Van Dyke. We know on the 31st we have a captive audience having the New Year's Eve celebrations over there. And so we wanted to marry this and give folks who are already in the territory, and I want to speak to that, folks who are already on the island of Joss Van Dyke getting ready for New Year's Eve celebrations. Well, here's something to do. Here is a chance to whet your palate with our unique dishes. The key thing, one of the key things that we've learned in tourism is, unless you have an extremely unique, distinct culture, Brazil, something to offer in Rome or Italy, folks don't overwhelmingly travel for culture.
Yes.
However, when they do travel to your destination, they want to experience said culture.
Yes.
And here is where we took off with the Fish and Fungi Frenzy. We know we're going to have a captive audience here for one of the top 10 places to party for New Year's. Why not expose them to this side of our culinary delights, this side of our culture?
And what I continue to hear is how this appeals to our tourists, right? But I'm getting excited as a resident of this territory. This is an opportunity for us too. I always say that the best way in order to sell anything is to first experience it, have that intimate experience with it. And sometimes I do feel like, we take it for granted a little bit, this beautiful product that is buried right in our backyard, all of this beauty that people pay top dollars to come to the BVI to experience. So I really want to encourage our locals as well to go out and really experience and really support a lot of these events because, again, if we know it, we can better sell it, yeah? As we begin to close out, I want to give each of you an opportunity not just to invite our viewers to come out and support the event, but to bring some encouragement from the perspective and the seat of being at the BVI Tourist Board as it reflects I believe our bounce back to some semblance of normalcy or even better in the future.
Yeah. Jovan, I just want to encourage everybody to come out to Anegada Lobster Fest this year. This year, we look at the BVI, this year we suffered a lot of devastation, especially back in July. Here's a chance for us to come out and have some fun and take the edge off a bit. There's plenty of activities in Anegada to do if folks are not lobster lovers. There's horseback riding. There's going and taking a tour out by the conch shell mounds, scooter riding. Whatever suits your fancy. There's other different specials available on these restaurants menus too as well besides lobster. So I'll just encourage folks to come out and have a fun day or fun weekend. The rentals are continuously being booked. The villas, the rooms, beds and heads over in Anegada continuously being booked. Get your plans together now.
All right.
And I'll just touch on, and we didn't get a chance to go too much into it, but the excursions and the other activities, the horseback riding, getting a chance to go out and visit the Anegada Conch Shell Mounds, or Conch Island as the residents like to call them. There's the iguana farm. There are our historic sites like the Faulkner Museum and the botanical gardens with some amazing shrubbery. I mean, I'm not that guy that's into too much greenery, but whenever I go through the botanic gardens, there's always something unique to learn there. The BVI Tourist Board, we continue to work under our director, Mr. Clyde McCoy, and the board, and we've continued to push and try to prepare our tourism sector for guests coming in. I want to thank every BVI lander that took part in our staycation program. It was one of our most successful ones thus far, and we, the locals, residents, were able to help to keep the tourism industry afloat during this very tough time. So you guys did an amazing job supporting staycation, and now we're asking you, now that we're open, as Jovan said, it's not just about our guests coming in, but it's about us experiencing our product as well. We continue to work for you. Come on out and support us in all that we do.
Well, I'm going to close out with a little quote I pulled from the BVI Tourism website. It says, "The sea has spoken, the crustacean nation has voted. BVI Anegada Lobster Fest is on. Come out and let us fet safely." I think that is the perfect quote to close us out. Again, encouraging all of you to join us on November 27th, 28th. BVI Lobster Fest Team 284 Media will be in the ground, of course, bringing you some coverage. But we want for you to come out and experience it for yourself. BVI Anegada Lobster Fest, November 27th, 28th. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you again for having us.
Thank you for having us.